Hello everybody, good to see you all today, and we're just digging a little bit deeper into where we were yesterday in John chapter 4. I must admit, I looked up at the clock yesterday and it was far further on than than it was meant to be, or my notes weren't as far on as I wanted them to be. So there was a couple of things there at the end that I just wanted to dwell on a little bit more today. And those things were verse 28 and 29 of chapter 4 there. The woman, she allows herself to be confronted by Jesus and to believe. We have in those verses there, 28 and 29, so the woman left her water jar, went away into town and said to the people, "Come, see a man who told me all that I ever did. Can this be the Christ?" And in response they came to Jesus. And I was just thinking about that, and I think I mentioned it's no small thing to be confronted, but it's no small thing too to be so affected that we believe what we're confronted about and do something about it. I remember, by way of illustration that I didn't use yesterday, doing exams in year 12, I had this nagging feeling as I was going through year 12 that there were some things I didn't quite have a good handle on. And but you know, when I came to exam preparation, I just thought, oh yeah, I've gone fine in exams before, it'll be okay. Well, these exams were a much bigger thing, and I made a mess of some of the exams. It was clear when I got into the exams, I was confronted with the reality that there was a whole lot there that I didn't know well enough to be able to put down on the exam paper. And well, eventually I got through that year 12 experience. I had to go and do another year to sort it out. And I arrived at uni, and I found myself facing exams that were worth between 50 and 80% again, as I was doing a science degree. And the first semester, I guess I just thought, well, I'll do a bit more study and it'll all be okay. And I scraped through chemistry. I think it was 51 or 52. The relief I felt when I got through that. But biology, I didn't make it through. And it was apparent again that my exam had brought me undone. And so I was confronted with this reality that I had to do something different about exams if I was going to make it through university and the rest of my study. And but the harder thing was to discipline myself to go and do something about it when exams came around again in semester 2. And that was hard work. I was able to, but yeah, that process of being confronted and then coming to believe it enough that you do something about it, it was hard in that case, and it's hard through all of life. This woman, she's confronted about who she is, and she believes it enough to go and do something about it. And I just think there's a lot of value in being able to see that there as Jesus meets with her. And to be able to examine ourselves and ask ourselves, you know, am I willing to be confronted by God about my life, about my relationship with Him, about the way I'm following Him, about how I am in relationship with other people, about my character, and then am I willing to be able to do something about that, to believe it enough that I go and do something about it. And, you know, I guess I was thinking to myself, this is where some of the value of being in closer relationship in smaller groups comes for people in the church. You know, I can stand up on the pulpit, or anybody can stand up on the pulpit on a Sunday and come to you through the television screens at the moment, and we can say to you, like Jesus said, go call your husband, or go call your wife, or whatever it might be, and brings God's word to challenge. But the confrontation of that challenge, we can't follow through with in the same way that it can be followed through within a smaller group. You know, as you're chatting to somebody, and you trust the person enough to be able to say, well, what's happening here? And you allow yourself to be confronted and to believe things. So I want to encourage you in that, to think about, how will I be in relationship with people in such a way that I'll allow myself to be confronted by what God's saying. But then also, will I be willing to be that for other people in the opportunities that God gives me? So that's the first thing I wanted to help you think about today. The second thing was the change that came in the life of this woman and the lives of people around her. And it's extraordinary change. She comes to the well in the middle of the day because she wants to avoid people. She's a social outcast, and then she goes off into town, and not only is she putting herself out in front of people, people listen to her, they believe her. I can only say that's God at work, and they respond to what she says, and it's clear and apparent that her life has changed. And I mentioned this idea that is there in our culture very much, all sorts of ideas about how we can change our life. And I referred to something I heard from Tim Keller during the week that I thought was very helpful. He was speaking about the contrasting ways in which change is presented to us. So on the one hand, years ago, change was presented as something that you do with the mind. You discipline yourself. You take control over your emotions, your passions, your feeling, and you change your life as you discipline yourself rigidly. And then he was reflecting that probably more recently, people will speak of change in terms of, letting your authentic self come out, letting your passions and feelings and come out, and that driving change for you in your life. But the key thing that he said that both of those things miss is that if they don't change our heart, it won't result in real life change. For real life change to come in whatever it is for us, it needs to change our heart. We need to be confronted by it. We need to believe it and then have our heart reshaped for real life change to come. And that's what happens to this woman. She allows her heart to be reshaped as she meets with Jesus. And I think that's what we have to reckon with ourselves too. And so I guess it's worth asking ourselves the question, as we meet with Jesus, and imagine it's you there at the well. There'll be all sorts of occasions where Jesus has to come and meet with you. He will make divine appointments to meet with you. And as we meet with Jesus and are confronted by him, are we willing for our heart to be so affected that real life change comes? The reality is that as that happens, our church community and the community around us will be affected. That's what happened here. And I think it's a tremendous encouragement to see what happens to this woman as her heart's changed. And I want to encourage you and urge you to think about what it might mean for you too. Thanks for being with us. All the best for the coming week.